Hello, and how are you? My name is Winnie Barawa, and welcome to Medic Academy, a channel where we share knowledge in all aspects of health, spreading of all sectors, for example, nursing, medicine, pharmacy, and so on. And in today's class, we are going to describe types of disability, or others prefer to say special needs. And if you'd like to be notified of our next class, you can click on the subscribe button down below, or you can click on the notification button so that you can be notified when we post a new class. So welcome and feel free to dive with me, ask questions, or ask for any clarification within the class as we progress. So understanding disability, number one, requires us to understand first what causes the disability. And to begin with, most of the prevalence of disability originates from genetic causes. And with genetic causes, these are illnesses that are transmitted via heredity or diseases that exist in our family histories. For example, where you can find in a family, maybe the parent had visual impairment or there was a presence of blindness, and children may actually inherit such, and the lineage might flow down to the next generation in such particular manners. So genetic issues are one of the causes of disability in our community. And then we have environmental causes. This now refers to causes in our causes. This refers to causes that are outside our control and will include issues, for example, accidents and also injuries. So could be a road accident and somebody could break their limb or could have some trauma that can lead to disabilities or form of special need in the person. And other group of causes includes, for example, communicable illnesses. So they're diseases that can be transmitted from one person to another, and it will include diseases, for instance, poliomyelitis, trachoma, and also leprosy. For poliomyelitis, the effects or the complication that comes from it is a state of paralysis, and the person can develop disability in case where are not able to walk or they end up confined in wheelchairs. And then for trachoma, this is an infection that can affect our eyes, and most of the time trachoma complicates with blindness, what most of the time we refer to as visual impairment. For leprosy, mostly it affects our nervous system, and this can also lead to, complications like paralysis and so on, bringing a type of a disability we call the physical disability. And then the other caliber is non-communicable diseases. This is another upcoming area of diseases that is very rampant in our community currently. And this includes hypertension and diabetes. Now, when you look at these two illnesses, when they begin, most of the time we don't see them as something that can bring out disability. However, when these illnesses are not managed and someone is put on medication and become adherent to them, they can complicate into a series of many other diseases, and part of it can be spread out. For example, let's start with hypertension. Hypertension can lead to blindness. Hypertension can lead to cerebrovascular accident where the person can have trauma in the brain and they can end up into a coma. While in the other case of diabetes, diabetes can complicate with diseases, for instance, known as diabetic foot. This person can end up getting amputated or lose their limb and end up physically incapacitated. So it all depends on the final categories. We have the psychiatric disturbances, whereby also when you look at someone who's suffering from mental illnesses, as much as mostly we expect disabilities to look more physical, other places disability come out more of psychiatric cases or also mental breakdowns. So psychiatric disturbances can also lead to form of disabilities. But you can also have alcoholism and drug abuse. This also come up as long-term effects. For example, when it comes to alcohol addiction and the journey of maybe let's say recovery, people, some of them go through the withdrawal syndrome, deliriums, and some people can complicate with disability cases. Drug abuse, depending on the drug you're using, either it is cocaine, heroin, or any other, it can also complicate with such cases. And lastly, we have trauma and malnutrition. For trauma, it's a little bit wider because it covers any sort of injury or trauma that can either lose functionality on part of a body, or it can make someone lose some ability to do certain activities. And this can source from either traffic accidents, occupational hazards, home accidents, or generally violence, which can lead somebody to get injured. But the last one is malnutrition. So malnutrition takes this journey whereby the person can end up disabled at a long-term effect. So this person, mostly how they operate, when they get malnourished, you will not see the disability quickly, but as the status keeps overstaying, the person in a way can develop a disability. Let's take an example of a type of a nutritional disorder. For instance, marasmus and kwashiorkor and rickets. For children with rickets, you can see most of the time their gait or their walking style is not as normal as for other children who do not have nutritional disorders. Reason being, malnourishment, when the immunity is low, it leads to poor bone mass, it leads to poor bone weight, and the bones tend to bend or to have this fragile appearance that can easily cause even fractures. And the child can end up either having bone fractures and they end up getting disabled. So let's now head over and learn about the types of special needs and disabilities. So with the types of special needs and disability, there's some that are the main types, and in all this you can't miss, first of all, the physical disability. So let's define physical disability. So with the physical disability, we say this is a state whereby there's loss of part or more of the body parts that can either affect the movement or the malfunctions. For example, paralysis. And physical disability can be either permanent or temporary. So to simplify physical disability, we simply mean part of the body has been affected. Could be your hand, for example, here in our photo, it could be a hand, it could be the leg, it could be the whole body is incapacitated in a way, but in this part, it is a part of your body that can easily be seen or evaluated, has been affected, and so the person is not able to execute their functions correctly. And in here, you can have crippled, handicapped, different types of physical loss, depending on the loss that the person has undergone. And then the second category we have here is what we call the sensory. So with the sensory disabilities, it's said this one occurs when one or more of the senses are impaired. And I believe by sensation, at least you're aware, this includes things like hearing, tasting, smell, touch, or even spatial. Spatial is the ability to, be able to understand your environment and be able to sense any stimulus or sensation that are being generated by our environmental state. So with this sensory disability, we generate different types of disability and impairment. For example, in a state where vision is the one that have been affected or impaired, then you talk about visual impairment, or you can have hearing impairment, or you can have spatial impairment. It can be different types, but mostly we find most of these impairments either you find visual or hearing impairment, which are the most commonest one, but it can cover different wider areas of our sensations. And the third type is psychological or psychic and mental. So with psychological, we are simply covering the whole state of the mind. And here it can either be mental, it can be psychic. With psychic, it's a bit different because with psychic status, we are looking at how the person visualize their beliefs, how they visualize their norms. So they say with psychic, it looks more on the spirituality view of most people. But mental, we are looking at the ability of interpreting environment, interpreting emotions, interpreting your understanding. How do you interpret information? That's all about mental. However, by definition of psychological disabilities, we say it's a state where emotions and thoughts of a person are affected. So a state where the thoughts of that person are affected, either they are not able to think properly, or as much as they're able to think and interpret, they do not come out as clearly as they're supposed to be for a normal person. So it can take different states. You can have introversion, psychism, anxiety, retardations, depression. In severe status can be a mental illness like schizophrenia and even addictions. So What kind of psychological disorders can you anticipate? In children, you can have it widespread. It can all the way spread from the autism spectrum disorder. You can have the attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, commonly known as ADHD, anxieties, mood disorder, eating disorders. All these are categorized under psychological, and part of them give us either the psychic or the mental state. So it's all a caliber of how our mind thinks and reasons around our environment or around our emotions and thoughts. And then now we have the other category that we call behavioral and emotional. So with behavior and emotion, it involves a pattern of behavior that either causes problems not only in common social environments, let's say in schools, homes, or in any other social situations. So with this disabilities, they can easily be observed, mostly in children, because they're able to be observed based on the pattern of a behavior the person is displaying. And mostly they're saying when you are learning on this, you need to see any destructive nature or behavior that can be displayed by the person. So there are different ways you can see in a person if they have emotional disabilities or special needs. For example, the commonest type of behavioral or emotional disability includes types such as oppositional defiant disorder, ODD. Others will display conduct disorders. Others can display also, in this case, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So all these can easily be observed by either using the behavior or the emotional expression of the person. So they're more of social situation cases, and you can observe them in social settings. And the last one is developmental disability, which refers to a group of conditions due to an impairment not only in physical learning, language, but also can happen in behavioral areas. And most of this, we observe it during developmental period before the person is an adult. So most of the time, the developmental illnesses are treated as more of pediatric levels, but again, we look at the level where the person is not yet an adult. So in this case, you can easily observe conditions like Down syndrome, autism, learning disorders like dyslexia, and also can have processing disorders and so on. So there are many, but because they are more of developmental, these are things you will easily observe in children. So for example, in my examples here, we have Down syndrome, Fragile X syndrome, cerebral palsy, ADHD, the autism disorders, alcohol syndrome, epilepsy, and also intellectual disabilities. So with these disabilities, sometimes you may find some of them fall under physical, others are crisscrossing this developmental and even emotional, is because they all some of them cut across. But maybe if you ask to describe all these types of disability, you just need to come clear in which essence are you defining that particular disability. So if this case you are using attention deficit hyperactivity and your reference is development, then yes, the attention deficit is it's an emotional disability, but again, it's developmental because you can observe it in children before they are adults. Marks the end of our class. So if you like content like this and you like to attend more of our classes and enjoy what we teach, you can subscribe, share these classes with your friends, come back and suggest which content can really favor you or help you grow more. And up to next time, thank you very much and bye bye. My name is Winnie.